Hey everyone, welcome to Keeping It Real with my man Kevin Keep, the podcast where we talk about building businesses, following Christ, raising families in a world that rarely makes time for all three. I'm sitting here with my good friend Kevin Keep. I'm Daniel Ronberg. Kevin, how you doing this morning, man?
Good, brother. Good, man. It's another beautiful morning out there. Excited about today. Excited just because I just look forward to what we're doing,
Me
in
too.
the talks and just, we got a great topic today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so we're talking today about having awareness around accountability, which to me is everything. I think it's so important to remain accountable in how you show up as a leader at work or how you show up as an employee, how you show up as a husband, as a father. And I think sometimes and this is why this one's very personal for me is I feel like a lot of times when I have a realization of something that I want to improve, specifically with a relationship in my life, it almost always goes back to where can I take accountability in a situation? And I feel like when I'm looking to blame the other person, it's not there's not a lot of resolve there, and there's just more anguish and pain. But when I usually can take a step back from my emotions and go, oh, I was I messed that up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ownership and a lot of acceptance and freedom in that. So, what are your thoughts on accountability?
You know, uh, it's so important as men to lead by example, right? And that
Mm,
accountability of leading, so many people are watching, you know, young kids. If you're raising kids, I mean, they're like a sponge. They're watching everything you do. And so if we're not accountable for the things and be able to take ownership of our, let's call it mistakes, mishaps, whatever the
mm,
word is you want to use at that time, we have to be accountable. I mean, we're accountable to God, right? First and
right.
foremost. Our best example is, Christ led examples through, his time here on earth of his accountability to God. But we as men have this accountability to our spouses, to the Lord, first and foremost, but to one another. And I think, we don't always think about the accountability just as a person. You know what I mean? There's different things out there. We can talk about. There's other books that talk about. Well, you can do whatever you want to do. Don't, it's like no, man. This is where I think the world is off base.
Yeah.
We have to be accountable. Um, I struggled with that for a while. My ex used to call me the blame shifter. She took it from the movie The Mexican. You know what I mean? You're just blame shifting. And I was good at it. I was a master blame shifter. You
Oh,
know what I
for
mean?
sure. Yeah.
It was never my fault. I'm Kevin Keep the Great. Don't you know me? And but then you start to realize as you go through this journey of your walk with the Lord and the accountability that I have to Him. Like I can't pull anything over His eyes. I mean, He wrote the book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He knows everything, and you start realizing that I just got to own it. But there's one thing of being accountable and owning it. But what do you do with that ownership? How does that change you? When you're looking at it's one thing to be accountable, but what happens after? Okay, so Daniel, I call you out on whatever it is. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Um, you know, what are you going to do with it? What does
Yeah.
that look like? What's that next step? So you're
Right.
accountable, but what do you take? What action are you taking with that?
Yeah, that's
You
so
know,
key is to follow it up with how you're going to respond when confronted with accountability. And I feel like the challenge is a lot of times with accountability, and I don't know if it's because I'm thinking about pride and humility, right? And then I'm thinking about accountability, and this may be the wrong way to think about it, but I'm kind of thinking about it as like this opportunity in between where it's like, maybe you have a moment of pride where you're like, okay, this can't be me, right? This is something else. And then you get confronted with accountability, and then you bring up an interesting point is like that's an opportunity for that person to either double down on the shame blaming
right?
or the issue, or they could actually take a step back and it hurts and you get humbled and you're confronted with, okay, what do I do now? And
hmm
I feel like some of my most proud moments are that moment when I'm
Yeah,
like, okay, oops, I got to
yeah,
eat this one. Now, how do I show up from here? And it creates a really beautiful opportunity in relationships. Most people I find are very receptive to that,
hundred
juncture.
percent.
Whereas anytime you're coming at it and you're doubling down or you're coming at them, it's like, battle time. Like, no, you don't want to approach relationships that way, I've found.
No, I couldn't agree more
Especially
with you.
marriage or
Oh,
coworkers or
I always joke
people
the
we spend time with.
two best words I ever learned are yes, dear.
Yes. It's crazy how much truth there is to that. Like you hear that joke, coming up and then you get married for a while and you're like, there's a lot of truth to that. Like just
Yeah.
let some stuff go.
Yeah. We should take it from Disney and Frozen, right? You got two little girls, let it go.
Yes,
You
yes.
know,
I'm
because
I'm there with you on the blame thing, man. Like, Jen and I had a really honest conversation about this on our trip. We went to Paris and we had some time to talk. And, I didn't realize, how subtle and how just over a long period of time things compound.
oh
And
yeah.
so, little blaming, little blaming, little blaming, all of a sudden, there's some scar tissue from years of little things that build up.
Oh
And so,
yeah.
like, Paris was an opportunity for me to take accountability in a big way and go, okay, when I get back, how am I going to show up differently for my wife, and not be so quick to blame. And it's little stuff, that adds up. And I'm like, yeah, some of this stuff just doesn't matter. Like,
It doesn't matter to you, but it
yeah.
matters to her,
Well, no, I
you
mean,
know?
like, it doesn't need to matter to me. Like stuff that
Correct.
I could let some things go
Hmm.
and just take accountability for like, hey, that's more my issue. I don't need to put that on you, right? But it's tough to have that awareness, right? Like, how do you get that awareness? Like, in our relationship, I'm lucky we hold each other accountable. So we have that friendship, right? Where we're going to call each other out and go, dude, I think you're off here, and we challenge each other, right? And that's healthy. We look for that. But if you're in a situation where you're having a problem right now, maybe with a relationship or at work or with a child, where do you go to get that awareness? How do you get enlightened if you can't see it?
You know, that's where I think accountability partnerships are so important for men. You
Mhm.
know, we think we are these isolated rocks. We can strong, we can shoulder, we can do this. We can't.
Yeah.
It's so healthy to have that. We goes into some of the other conversations we had of mentorship.
Mm.
To be able to
Yeah.
mentor one another and point out those things that we're doing wrong. Because look, we are doing things wrong. As great as you think you might be, we're all going to screw up somewhere. You know, let's say we won't even take our president. We were talking about things. I love the man. I love some things that he stands for, but that man just needs to shut his mouth sometimes too, as well. You know, open your mouth, insert your foot, and just call it a day. You have the win. Don't throw salt. There's so many things that are out there, but you know, I I have enjoyed the last 4 years of the journey of my life of accountability. Cleaning up the things. I made a lot of mistakes in my marriage.
Mm.
I did a lot of things wrong. I've learned a Harvard education that I pray to God that nobody else has to learn. That's why we're doing what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
To mitigate. Hopefully, some people are watching this and mitigating some of those problems.
Yeah.
In your marriage, it's so like you said. Is it better to be right or is it better to be happy? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Are you really going to die on that cross for that one stupid little thing that put the toilet paper one way it goes back, one way it goes forward? Well, I've done it this way all my life. Well, I've done it this way. Well, I think it looks better this way. Just let it go. It's not
Right.
important,
Yeah.
you know.
I
But
I
we
can't
fight over
remember.
those things. Why? Why are we
I
so stubborn? And is it because we're not getting our way? Is it really that important?
I think I think it's like little miscommunications that add up. Like this morning, even I, that we have the printer for our whole house behind this closet door in the podcast studio, right?
Yeah.
And I love my wife dearly. She cannot shut a door behind her to save her life, and it drives me nuts, right? So this morning I walk in, and every time she uses the printer, I know because the closet door is open, right?
Yeah.
And so I come in the first thing this morning. I'm like, oh my gosh, and then I'm like, who cares if the door
Right.
like it takes half a second to shut the door as I walk by. Why would I even waste energy on that?
Yeah.
Like that's the stuff I was talking about. Let it go. It's like
Oh
some of
yeah.
those things you have to just confront and go. But when I'm talking about accountability, I'm talking about like more along the lines like what she was sharing with me about how you're showing up in relationships, right? Like what you said, what are you doing with that? And so is there a framework in the Bible, is there a framework for men where they can go back to and say, okay, like this is off, it's not working. They can't see it's them yet in the in the equation. What's the framework to check in and go, okay, how do I see that I need to take some ownership here?
Well, I mean, you could go into Ephesians and what it talks about in 5 of, wife, submit yourself to your husbands. Husbands, submit yourself to your wives as Christ did for the church. She died for her.
Yeah.
That's great. We think, I'll stand in front of it. I'll take a bullet, I'll die. So no, are you going to die to yourself? We've talked about this.
Yeah.
What does that look like to die to yourself?
I had that I had those words echo in my head so many times in Paris. I was like, man, I need to revisit that.
We do because
Yeah.
we get back into an area of complacency.
Yeah.
Things are going good, we're having fun, we're enjoying things. Well, I can push those envelopes of not dying to self here. Well, I don't really
Mhm.
want to go eat there. I don't really want to go do this. Or, I really don't want to go to Paris. Let's go to Australia. I mean, just whatever those things are, the most important thing, like I said, is so your wife has identified things and you guys have identified things together that need to be addressed in the relationship, right? What are you going to do are you going to hear her? Are you going to listen to her? Hearing is like, okay, well, I heard what you said, Daniel, but listening to you is I'm hearing you, taking that in, and I'm formulating my response,
Yeah.
and I think we suck sometimes as men for that. We hear things, but we don't act on them.
Yeah.
And it's important that you've heard your wife through this trip of Paris of now what are you going to do with this? How are you going to show up? And it's crazy because you're coming into one of the busiest things, a move, all these things into year. We're coming into tax season for you, all of this stuff. And you're like, this is not the time to figure out how I'm going to show up because I have no time to show up.
Dude,
This is the time that she's going to look at you the most of
yeah.
how you're going to show up under the most pressure cooked that you can get.
Yeah.
You know, this is
I
your
really
opportunity to shine.
appreciate you saying that. And I think you're 100%, I know you're 100% right because I had that thought myself. I'm like, okay, during all of this, I'm like, now I have to like pay attention and reinvent myself in my marriage. Like, how am I? But you know what? It's funny, like you said earlier before we were recording, like, you just put your head down and do it. Like, it's not, you don't dramatize it, you don't victimize yourself. You just go, look, this is an opportunity. It's
Yeah,
not impossible. And I want to rise up during this season. I want to be
100%.
the best version of myself for her under stress, under pressure. So I appreciate you saying that, man. Thank you. That's a really good accountability, and that's a really encouraging point for me this morning.
Well, awesome. I mean, it's so, and I say that unfortunately from my lack of doing that.
Yeah,
Learn from my mistakes. You know what I
yeah,
mean? I didn't show up in those things, and I'm in a, I went through a divorce because of it. I
mm,
didn't learn. I wish I would have known then what I know now. I mean, like you always say that, right? It's
yeah,
easy to play Monday night quarterback and look back at all your faults, but when you're in the middle of that storm, how do you do that? Well, you show up because you have an accountability partner that says, "Hey, Daniel, I know you're in this storm. I know you're in the craziest thing of the world. That you're moving. You got the holidays. You got Christmas. I mean, kids are off of school. Pick all these things that can just, throw stress into your life.
yeah,
This is the time that she's going to remember the most when you do show up because
yeah,
she knows all this pressure and all these things that you have on it. I think sometimes they kind of wait for us to fail. You know what I mean? They look at it so they can say, see, I told you. And I'm not saying your wife does that. I'm saying I do that.
yeah,
I'm saying I do that in situations with my kids and different things. So why do I think she might not do that? But
right,
I look at it as a challenge. Okay, I mean, to the point where I'm going to write down on my calendar and set an alarm on my watch every 2 hours just to text her so I don't forget and get caught up in the middle of a storm. You
yeah,
know, oh my gosh, it's been 2 hours. I haven't said I love you to my wife or I haven't talked to you. I'm going to send her a quick text. Hey, working on some stuff, thinking about you. Hope your day is going great. Whatever that is for you, you know her love language better than I do. You
right.
know,
Yeah. No,
um,
that's
find
amazing.
find those, even if you have to schedule it to make sure that you're holding yourself accountable to show up.
Yeah,
Some people give me a hard time that you schedule so you can remind yourself to text somebody. Absolutely, because I know my weakness and I know I will forget. So if I have to use a text message to remind myself or an alarm on my phone, you betcha. I'm going to do whatever I can to hold myself accountable to show up when I need to show up the most.
Absolutely. Dude, that's
So,
amazing. That's great advice. And I think a lot of people that heard that could benefit tremendously from scheduling their accountability to holding themselves accountable. I
yeah.
think of this, I'm looking at the next 12 weeks and I'm like, I'm really committed to this vision of this idea of this is an opportunity to reinvent myself and an opportunity to show up in a major way. And when I look back 12 weeks from now, I'll be really happy with the progress if I choose to show up and put in the work every day and stay accountable. I think there's a really magical transformation in this next season. So I am excited about it. But I hope other people can get to that point too. I hope people, if they're at a place with some area of their life that they're not happy with, or they're feeling defeated in, or is not working out, that they can
Hmm.
create. Maybe I like things in 12-week frameworks. I like this 90
Correct.
day thing where it's like,
Yep.
hey, in 90 days, that's enough time where if I put in a committed effort in a different direction and I change something, I should be able to see a result.
100%.
Something I can measure. And so to me, I try to look at things in quarters. And we're coming up on an opportunity for a new one. Now everybody likes the New Year's resolution, which I think has been proven to just. I can't even remember what my New Year's resolution was from last year. So I'm not big on New Year's
It was
resolutions,
probably
but
something to do with working out, getting in shape, and stuff that I
yeah,
didn't do, right?
yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Gym memberships spike drastically in
Oh yeah,
January,
yeah. If you're in
you
the
know?
fitness or like medicine or like supplement industry, I feel like January is like your time to shine.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
December, January are your biggest months because everybody is, I'm going to do it this year, you
yeah,
know?
it's the I'm starting Monday syndrome
Yeah.
thing.
Why not start right now? Throw the
Right.
coke away. Get out. Do it right
Yep.
now, right here.
Accountability, man, is awesome. So, one thing that I just want to mention that I read, I was recommended to read a book recently, but I feel like the Book of James, it's a
Oh,
short book, and I feel like it just really outlines how we can show up, how we should show up, really as Christians. And when I need accountability on when I'm judging others, or especially when I'm like politically frustrated and I want to like, say things I don't mean. I go to James because it really brings you back to like, how paying more attention to how you show up in the
oh,
equation.
yeah.
And so
It's a
that for me,
mirror.
that's my accountability book that I really has made the biggest impact for me because it's a short, easy read and it really just gets right to the meat of it. It's a throat punchy kind of book.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It doesn't hold back,
Yeah.
which I think for me as a man,
Hmm.
I need that.
Yeah.
I need that reality check. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's I don't want it for and most times. I'm like because it's that mirror, right? It's
Yeah.
that reflection that I don't want to see. It's the
Yeah.
man I've become that I thought that I never would. We always look at our parents and different things, and you say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and you look at your dad. Now, my dad had some terrible qualities, terrible, terrible things. Those were the things I never wanted to become. Now, I've had moments of my life where I become those things,
Hmm.
but I also look at my father through all of that crap. He was also a good man, and those are the qualities that I do want to become and do those things and become that person. But we can't focus and live into this trap of, well, that's just who I am, because that's
Yeah.
just a crock, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
We can all change things in our lives to better ourselves. But man, when you prune yourself, and it's like pruning a tree. You try and prune too much off, you're not going to survive. You
Yeah.
know, you got to
It's
take
true.
one little things at a time. You try and take so much on, it's going to overwhelm you, and you just set yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
So I encourage you guys, take one thing this week, one thing you want to change about yourself. Is
Yeah.
it the physical? Is it the spiritual? Is it the emotional? What is it you want to change?
Yeah.
And focus on that. We've got 52 weeks in a year. That's a lot of things that I can change if I take one week at a time, right?
Yeah. One
You
day at
talk
a
about,
time.
yeah, one day at a time.
Yeah.
Most of the
I
time I
think
can't make an hour, but
I know. I think for me, if I'm in a place where I'm struggling with an area of my life or a relationship, I think the Book of James is definitely a good place to start. That's a good way to
Mhm.
hold up that mirror and say, okay, where could I get some guidance on how I'm showing up? I think if it's with your spouse, or a situation at work with a coworker, I think if you have the opportunity to step back and look at how you're showing up in the situation, that's a great place to start. And I think if it's with your kids, the power of like a simple "I'm sorry, I messed that up" is
Oh yeah.
so big with them. Like their forgiveness and their like compassion threshold is so amazing. I feel like whenever I'm just able to go, "Oh, you know what? Dad messed that up. Like I'm sorry. Can I take that over?" They're
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, no problem. Like it's all good, no worries, and they're,
Yeah, right.
but it's like it's hard to get to that point sometimes. Just go, ooh,
Yeah.
that's on me.
Yeah. It's my
Just
bad,
the power
you
of a
know.
do-over. Just asking people like,
Mhm.
hey, I messed it up. Could I get a do-over? People are like generally really open to that.
Well,
If you're
yeah,
if you're
because like
sincere, if you're sincere,
if you're yeah, I was just gonna say that if you're
yeah,
sincere, what else can you do? Like if
right,
someone's willing to take a self-reflection and like, oh my God, I can't believe I said that. I take that back. I know their words, but let me rephrase that. Let me do this. And if you really want to know what you need to work on,
hmm,
be willing to ask. Ask your wife, ask your kids,
yeah,
ask your coworker. Hey, how can I do things better?
yeah,
I know I'm not perfect, and I know you get frustrated with me from time to time. What are one or two things that I can do this week differently that you think would benefit me and us? Be
wow.
surprised. Be careful because you might not like those answers.
It's that be careful what you wish for thing,
Be careful what you
It,
wish for. But
it
if
takes
you
courage to ask
really,
those questions.
it is. But if you
Yeah,
really want to grow
yeah,
and you really want to be different and you
yeah,
really want to better yourself, be willing to do that
yeah.
and listen to them. Not just hear, but take it in, meditate on it, and figure out what you can do to be better and make sure they know they're heard because they're going to know that they were heard by your actions that you're going to take. Now they might say something that is going to trigger you. Holy Toledo Batman. My wife has done I've done this and it has not worked, and I've done it and it has worked very well. But it
Yeah.
was me putting myself in the right mindset. Don't go ask that question because, oh, look at Kevin Keep. I want to show them that I'm so great. You know what I mean? I'm going to ask them what problems I have because I want them to know I'm working on myself. Ready? Get
I,
ready,
I would
buddy.
say I would say it starts out with courage and it requires sincerity. But I would say one of the biggest things it requires is the ability, and I don't know what you would call this, but like you have to be willing to be vulnerable and let it just and let them be you have to create a safe space for them because if you
100%.
if you get triggered and hit and fire back right after you ask them, I mean, boom, it's that
You've
that
lost. You've actually gone farther
you've
backwards.
you've definitely gone
Yeah,
farther backwards. You've
yeah,
doubled down the
yeah.
wrong
You
way.
doubled down, and
Yeah.
because you're phony and you
Yep.
weren't sincere, you were doing it for the wrong reasons, and it
Yeah.
goes really back to humility. Am
Yes.
I really willing to humble myself?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
admit that I have mistakes and admit that I'm not perfect, but the willingness to change,
Yeah.
it's not going to happen overnight. Daniel's not going to go, oh, here's a switch. Look at me. I'm the happy go lucky guy and I can do that. It's not that. It's
Yeah.
like, take it in, meditate on it, pray on it, and then really figure out how you're going to respond to that, how you're going to make that change that's not momentary, but is lasting. Because
Yeah.
that's really what people want to see, right? It's
Right.
not the quick fix, it's
No.
the lasting change.
And sometimes we want the quick fix. And so I have developed this little mental and emotional process for exactly what you're talking about. So I'm really good at, I wouldn't say I'm really good at, but the
Humility,
awareness.
Daniel, humility.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. I'm the best at this. The awareness, I'm not so good at. But the courage to ask, that's my strength. I am good at that. Where
Mhm.
I am really weak and where this is where the process comes in is when I ask, I have to literally remind myself mentally, okay, this is going to hurt. You need to be quiet. You need to just listen, do not respond, and then think about it. And then I remind myself to be conscious of my facial expressions because my wife has told me like you can see my emotions on my face. I have big eyes and like
Yeah.
so like people if you're talking to me and I'm hearing something I don't like, I'm starting to make this like real
Yeah,
angry,
that
like I
scowl
want to,
right here,
yeah, like I want to fight you face. And I don't even realize I'm doing it. You know, I'm listening, like you can see the nodding and but it's like you can read and people are look like, whoa. So I have to actually get my face ready to hear bad news and like
right?
practice smiling through pain. And that's, I think, to me, the hardest part. But if I can, again, approach it sincerely and be
Hmm.
authentic in that interaction and not fake it, right? You do get what you need. Usually, people, if you have a strong relationship and people actually care, I feel like that's just the measure of a good relationship. Like if I care enough about you, like if I don't care about you, I'm just gonna tell you what you want to hear and move on. I don't have time.
100%.
I'm just
Yeah.
gonna be like, dude, whatever, no, who cares? But if I care about your friendship, I'm like, dude, you know what? I'll be honest with you, like that hurt, and here's why.
Hmm.
And then we have a conversation because I care about getting to a solution. You know, I want
Right.
it to improve. So I think if you're lucky enough to have someone that's willing to share, you have the makings of a relationship that's worth investing in.
100%. And I think that's the difference of we use this word friend. So, oh yeah, Daniel's my friend. Does that
Everybody's
mean
my friend. Yeah.
everybody's my friend? No, man, a friendship is really, really like they say, if you can count on one hand 5 friends that you have, I mean, like, they talk about, who's going to carry your casket? Who are those six
Mhm.
guys? That's what we talk about as men,
Yeah.
right? And it's like if you have those 6 guys, like you are blessed, blessed beyond measure. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That you
My
can have just
dad,
real conversation.
my dad has a great barometer for friendship. He always says, he goes, you call these people your friends. None of them are your friends. He goes, you know who a friend is? A friend is who's going to step in and pay your mortgage when you need it. That's a
Yeah.
friend.
Yep.
And it's like, dude, that's for most of us, that's much fewer than 6 people.
Oh, it's probably you'll be lucky if you have one, maybe two.
Right. So it's like,
You know.
it's I always enjoy that test. Dude, this has been huge for me today. Thank you so much. Like we talked about, we're here and you see this little screen, but behind the screen there's all these things waiting for us and challenges and opportunities and this always fills my cup. I feel excited to take accountability today. I feel excited to ask some people in my life where I have opportunities to step up, especially during this season. And I feel excited about what we're doing, man. I hope this is helping guys.
Oh yeah, I'm too. It's funny. I always tell people like it's so exciting. You get this high. These endorphins and all this stuff. We're really excited. But we really got to pray about like the enemy does not want that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so we're going to be under attack. So just be prepared, like you said. You've got to get prepared to ask that question. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And the best way to prepare is to take it to the Lord, to be in prayer. You know what I mean? Before you ask that question, Lord, humble me.
Yeah.
Allow me to go through this. You hear all the cliches on social media. I asked for strength. God gave me opportunities to be strong. I asked for patience. God gave me opportunities to be patient. 100% accurate. God
Yeah.
doesn't wave this magic wand. Whoop, Daniel, you have patience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He gives you 2 daughters and a wife that says, "Oh, you prayed for patience? Here's your opportunity to learn it." You know what I mean?
That's so true. And you learn that over time. You go, give me opportunities to be forgiving, and then somebody
Yeah,
hurts you, and you're like, really?
that
What?
wasn't what I wanted.
Yeah, I just wanted the good part of the forgiveness, not the
Yeah,
pain.
but
So,
now you've got to learn to embrace that pain,
yeah,
that change, because like working out, you have to rip the muscle before it ever can grow back stronger. Well, that's
yeah,
most of our life.
yeah,
Sometimes our heart needs to tear before it can grow back stronger and be better than what it was. But,
yeah,
we just want to be careful in we don't want to leave a wake of destruction.
yeah. No,
We
I
want
I
we want to
agree.
make sure that we do things the right way and mitigate, not allow people to suffer because of our stupidity.
Yeah, and I think to echo that, there's gonna be rough seasons, there's going to be
Hmm.
challenges, and I always feel like the measure of your manhood is how did you show up during those seasons.
100%.
You know, did you show up as that caring husband, as that loving father who took time? You know, like it's Christmas. I don't want my girls to remember Christmas as, you know, oh, dad was at the office all the whole. I want them to remember the magical parts and the
Oh yeah.
service parts and the parts that actually matter. And so, I would ask today personally for prayer, for
Yeah.
encouragement to be accountable. You know,
100%.
I would love that, man. If you could pray for accountability during this holiday season,
100%.
be amazing for us.
Let's do it, brother.
All right.
Father God, Lord, we come to you. We thank you for this time that we can be together as brothers, Lord, and just I pray for Daniel, Lord, in this storm he's entering in, Lord. The end of the year, the holidays, the New Year's, moving into a new office, Lord, just a massive a weight of challenges in front of him, Lord. But I know this man, Lord, and I know he wants to show up to resemble you, Lord, to show this family, these coworkers, these new partners, and these things that are going on, Lord, what you are to him. Lord, in no better way to do that, Lord, than to show up with joy, with peace, Lord, and to show up just with a great attitude, Lord, even though it's stressful. Lord, that he knows you've got his back. Lord, I ask that you put a super hedge of protection around his girls, Lord, around his wife, around his family, Lord, around the business, everything that's there, Lord, that he just can show up, Lord, just to have a glowing, that people look at him and say, gosh, how can he go through all of this and still have joy? Well, that's because the joy he has, Lord, is you. That's you in his heart, his desire to love you, to serve you, and be a better version of himself, Lord, so that when people see him, they see you. That's really all of our goals as believers, Lord. So allow that to happen with him, Lord, and allow him to have that super awareness of when things aren't going quite the way they should be, that he catches himself, that he goes, okay, take a step back. Lord, give me a little more strength, and then continue to move forward. Lord, I just love this time that we have together. We ask that you bless those that are watching us in your son's name. Amen.
Amen. Man, it's so awesome. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Happy holidays. Hope you have a wonderful new year. And we will see you in